Hey, gang, it's the Fantasy Sports Boss. It is Wednesday, November 8th, 2023. We're just 24 hours away from Fantasy Football week 10. Geez, amazing. Week 10 already, where we have the Tennessee Titans taking on the Chicago Bears. And we've already learned that Justin Fields is probably not going to play. So, right off the bat, we're dealing with some key injuries. Um, to start off the week. So if you're new to the channel, of course, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button as well. I said Tennessee, I meant Carolina, Chicago, Carolina this Thursday. Tennessee was last Thursday against Pittsburgh. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I'm going to go through the injury report today because there's a lot to get to. We have some big names now that are possibly making their way back to their teams. We'll talk about that. James Conner, Justin Jefferson among them. Also, taking a look at some of the matchups this week, starting with the Bears-Panthers tomorrow night, which players I think make for good starting options and which should be sent to the bench. And, of course, whatever comments you want to post in the chat, we'll get to those as well. So the first thing I wanted to do, though, is talk about the injury report. So we learned today that James Conner and Justin Jefferson, who have both been on IR for the last month, the 21-day window for them to return has been opened officially. All right. So, and reading the tea leaves, like today, James Conner was limited in practice. Justin Jefferson, I didn't see anything about whether he practiced today, but this is really two different timelines here. As far as James Conner, I do expect him to be back this week, and I do expect him to be the bell cow back right away. So even last week, Jonathan Gannon was saying how James Conner looks great. So I think Conner, even last week, was over the injury. He probably could have played if not being on IR last week. So he's ready to go. And certainly the Cardinals have no reason not to put him in there as the bell cow because they have nobody. Like it's been that bad. Keontae Ingram, Demercado's been okay, but they need somebody. And Conner was doing a really good job before he got hurt. So, if you've been waiting on Conner like I have on my 5-4 team, I can't wait to get him back there. Now, as far as Justin Jefferson, the window is opened on him as well. Now, his injury, this hamstring injury, was a 4 to 6 week deal. So it was a pretty severe hamstring injury. And Kevin O'Connell today, meeting with the media, already said basically that it's going to be a long shot for Jefferson to play this week and that week 11 is the potential landing spot. So that seems to be the consensus. And, if you've been waiting this long for Jefferson, it's annoying that you're going to have to wait another week, myself included. But that's just the situation that we're being dealt with. And the bigger story is that Josh Dobbs is capable now of continuing the good times with Justin Jefferson and the rest of the Minnesota players. Trade Ridley to get Javonte. Robert, yeah, you know what? I just traded for Javonte Williams myself today. So I would do that in my 5-4 team. Somebody who needed a quarterback. I had Kyler Murray on the bench, asked for Murray and Tank Dell, and they offered me Javonte Williams and Ferguson, the tight end for Dallas. I took it because I needed a running back. And Tank Dell, great game last week, but I sold high. I still think he's going to be inconsistent the rest of the way. And really, with Jefferson coming back soon, Tank Dell's like my fourth best receiver. I have Garrett Wilson, I have CeeDee Lamb. So I didn't really need him, whereas I needed a running back, and I think Javonte Williams is going to have a big finish to the season. He's getting the work for sure. Also, trade Ridley and Jacobs to get Adams and Javonte. I wouldn't do that. No, I wouldn't do that. I don't like Davante Adams where he's at right now, and I do like Jacobs better than Javonte Williams. I was late. Yeah, I was a little bit late. Yes, sorry about that, guys. I was, yes, Aaron Jones. Listen, I don't feel bad for ripping Aaron Jones. And it really wasn't fair for Aaron Jones. I think it was Matt LaFleur more than anything. If he faced TJ Moore on Thursday Night Football, oh my God, yeah, I remember that. That was bad. That was really bad. But you know what? Fields is not going to be back this week. So I don't think you have to worry about that this week. Ramondre Stevenson. So he's been better. Like the last 3 weeks have been good. Had that long run. Only got 9 carries last week, but I think Ramondre Stevenson, the arrow is pointing up, and I do think I'm bullish on him going forward. Don't forget Ezekiel Elliott. As the season goes on, those older legs of his are going to start feeling the effects of the season, and I think Stevenson's going to have a big finish. How did you rank these the rest of the season? Jacobs, Hall, and Walker. Probably that order. I would do it in that order. Happy Wednesday, Rain. Mostert on a bye, so I need a running back. Any running back you recommend? Well, I mean, if you could swing a trade for James Conner, I would try to do that. Now is the window where you can. Keaton Mitchell, I mean, I'm sure he's off waivers now by now. Chuba Hubbard, not a bad start, even though Miles Sanders is pushing back for a 50-50 split. Not a lot out there as far as the running backs, Rain, unfortunately. PPR, Howell or Kyler? Well, wow, that's tough. I got to still go Howell because I think there's going to be rust when it comes for Kyler, but it's really, really close. Birdman, blessings to you too. Thank you. Is Herbert in trouble with Palmer on IR? Listen, he wasn't good against the Jets, and we knew that was going to be a tough matchup for Herbert. Listen, they lost Mike Williams, they lost Palmer. They don't have the field stretching wideouts now, and Quentin Johnson is just not happening. He's not picking up the offense. So yes, I think he's in a little trouble. I think he'll be okay, but I think his best numbers came already. Offered Puka and Chuba for Bijan, but Bijan doesn't want to sell. Was that unreasonable? No, that wasn't unreasonable. I mean, Chuba is what he is. He's really just kind of a throw-in piece. It was really Puka that you were offering. $1.99 super chat from Joe Castles. Thank you, Joe. Who wins the trade? Waddle from Marquise Brown. I like Marquise Brown better. You know how I feel about that. I'm desperately trying to get him before this weekend. Marquise Brown to the moon the rest of the way. Thank you, Joe, for the super chat. I appreciate it. Miles Sanders. Yeah, I mean, it's not bad, Rain. I guess you could deal with that. So let's go through the injury report. We talked about Jefferson. We talked about James Conner. David Montgomery will return this week, and we talked about that on the stream the other day. It's going to be interesting to see what the split will be between the two of them. Now, I'm thinking the rest of the season from here on out, I'm pretty confident that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to outscore David Montgomery in PPR. I think it's going to be a 50-50 split. We knew from the beginning, and Campbell spoke about this, how they were going to slow play it with Gibbs. They want him to make it through the season because they had designs on winning the NFC North. They're going to the playoffs. Gibbs is a smaller back who wasn't really even a bell cow in college at Alabama, so they needed to preserve him, which is why the Montgomery move made sense. Montgomery getting hurt really wasn't part of the equation. And listen, Montgomery's been good, 2 100-plus yard rushing games. He's been scoring touchdowns by the boatload when he's on the field. So Montgomery's still going to get his. He's going to score a lot of touchdowns, but I think he drops to high-end running back 2 status from a low-end running back 1. And Gibbs in PPR is straddling that 1-2 line right now. Addison versus New Orleans, assuming seen a lot of Lattimore, or Hollywood versus Atlanta. I'm going Hollywood. I'm definitely going Hollywood. I know he's got A.J. Terrell, which is tough, but I think Hawkinson is going to be the main guy for Dobbs. I love Hollywood this week. It is a tough matchup. Don't get me wrong, but I still like Hollywood. Hey, Boozy, how are you? Cook or Najee Harris this week? God, they're so bad, both of them. I would say Najee. Hey, Justin, how are you? Better I can speak. Can I trust Ferguson? Yes, you can, because they're playing the Giants. The Giants and the Eagles do not defend the tight end. You always play your tight ends against these teams. And I told you all week, all season, whenever the Eagles are on the schedule, you play your tight ends. And, of course, Ferguson scores against the Eagles last week. Pollard breakout. Yes, this is it, guys. It's time to push the chips to the middle of the table with Tony Pollard. If he doesn't do it this week against the Giants, then we run out of hope. I'm sorry. 4 of his last 5 games, Pollard has been single digits in PPR, which is staggering to me. He was a late first-round pick. We all loved Pollard, myself included. I don't understand it. Well, I do to an extent. I think Mike McCarthy felt the pressure to open up the offense using CeeDee Lamb as the main target, and Lamb has gone absolutely bonkers the last couple of weeks. Pollard is taking a back seat. And is the long season as the bell cow back getting to him? He's not a big back. It's possible. But this is the week. If you're going to buy low on Pollard, do it now. Dropping Algier, Quentin, or Sanders for Browns defense. Yes, drop Quentin. Enough waiting on him. Dotson versus Seattle or Sutton versus Buffalo. I would go Sutton. Dotson is banged up. I don't think he practiced today. Would you try and get a load of Josh Allen or keep him? Keep him. I'm definitely keeping Allen. Should I trade Swift, Wilson, and Ingram for Kelsey and Ayuk? That's a lot to give up. That's a lot. That's a lot. I don't know. I'm not in love with Ayuk. I think I would hold pat on that one. Dotson or Shakir. I'd have to go Dotson, but check the injury report because, again, I don't think he practiced today. Achane to the moon. Listen, I said sell high on Achane. I don't think he's going to the moon. No, I think Mostert, he scored on once every 6 touches which the NFL average, I believe, is 1 every 28 for a running back. So, no, I'm not going to say to the moon. I think Mostert and now Jeff Wilson is back. I think it's going to be hard for Achane to reach those heights again. Told him he needs to get the ball to Lamb. Probably did. He probably said that. Murray this week or give him week. I would put him out there if you need him. I would put him out there. He's been ready for 2 weeks now. Bears defense, over the Bills. Bills defense has not been good lately. I mean, they have a lot of injuries on that team. You see, they've been giving up a lot of points. Absent for personal reasons is what it said. Personal. Okay, so then I'd be a little bit more confident in him. So Drake London was limited today. I think he's going to be able to play, but we have to keep an eye on that. So Jamar Chase. Here's the thing, and not only Jamar Chase, but T. Higgins is injured now. Chase, has a back issue. And it seems like already from the very beginning of the week, we heard some ominous things about Jamar Chase's availability this week. I don't think, it's looking right now that he's on the wrong side of playing. And now T. Higgins has popped up today with a hamstring injury issue. So, we got to watch here. Tyler Boyd hasn't exactly been great the last year plus when either one of these guys has been out. But all of a sudden now the Bengals have some big time injury issues that we need to pay attention to. Nico Collins, limited in practice for the Texans. He's got a calf injury. If he doesn't go, it's a tough matchup this week. But Tank Dell obviously would benefit. I know I traded Tank Dell today, but if you can buy low on Tank Dell, he's got some really good matchups coming up the next, after this week. For Achane, he's been out of sight, out of mind for a little bit, Boozy. So it's going to be a little bit difficult to maybe Terry McLaurin. I mean, that's somebody I think you can get for him. Jordan Addison. I think it's going to be tough to get equal value for him right now. Should I drop the Bills defense and pick up Eagles? You could. I mean, the Bills are just going by a reputation right now. The results haven't been there. Hey, Mark, you drop out of Zay Jones, Elijah Moore, Rashid Shaheed, and AJ Dillon. I'm dropping Dillon. Enough with AJ Dillon. And Aaron Jones was finally unleashed last week. Boyd talks good. Yeah, Boyd, he's okay. He is what he is. But not enough for me. So James Conner was limited today, but the fact that he was limited, I still think he's going to play. So I'm definitely excited to have him back. Jamar Chase, we talked about. Josh Palmer, knee sprain. He'll be out 4 weeks. So Josh Palmer, you can feel free to cut him loose. There's no reason to hold on to him. And now, as far as Tony, full PPR pick 3, Walker, Gibbs, Bijan, McLaurin, Deontay, 3. I'm picking McLaurin, Hopkins, and probably Bijan. Concerned about Lamar for fantasy. Murray this week. I'm going Murray Boozy. So as far as Lamar, listen, he's been a better real-life quarterback than a fantasy one. They got something going on with Gus Edwards. But here's the thing, Robert. I'm not as concerned about him. They've had some really plush matchups of late. Now, what they did to Seattle, though, you can't categorize that as a plush. They just absolutely blew their doors off. And Jermaine, I'm going Eagles. And Donta Foreman, Ed, I don't know. I think Herbert's going to be back. There's going to be a lot of different ball carriers there. It's been a good game script for the running backs, for the Ravens. Now, they have the Browns this week. This is not an easy matchup for Lamar, but I think he's going to have to carry more of the load. They're not going to be able to run the ball, so Lamar's going to have to air it out. They have a lot of matchups coming up over the next month where he's going to have to throw the ball. And listen, he's very capable of putting up a QB1 week any given week. So I'm not as concerned about Lamar Jackson. It is annoying. He's still playing well, 20 of 26 last week, which is, a really good outing. So I think he's going to be okay. All right, we have a $4.99 super chat from Tony R. Thank you, Tony, and thanks, boss. No, thank you. I really appreciate that super chat. Like I say to all you guys who contribute, it does help a lot with the channel. It does require a decent amount of time to do this channel, but I enjoy doing it, and thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. All right, Bijan Robinson. Listen. Throw out all of the predictions when it comes to the Atlanta Falcons because it's all at the whim of Arthur Smith. We can't predict anything with these guys. So other than that, Jonnu Smith is going to ball the fuck out because he seems to be the only one that Arthur Smith wants to give the ball to. So is it going to be it's a good matchup. I think it's, he's certainly very capable. But I always temper my expectations when it comes to them. Who would you pick up to start week 10? Njoku, Janu, Kate Otten, Hunter Henry, Joe Everett. I would go Njoku. I think he did miss practice today. Njoku or Janu, I would go. Draft Lamar because he win you a week and break it. Yes, he can. Any given week, Robert, for sure. CJ Stroud, and I know I would not trade Chase for Olave. No way. That's a panic move. CJ Stroud, listen, he's not putting up 51 points. We all know that. But this might be one of the best rookie performances I have ever seen. Like Andrew Luck really set the bar when he came out. Remember, Peyton Manning led the NFL in interceptions. I believe he threw 28 as a rookie. The fact that CJ Stroud has one interception is staggering to me. And then what he did last week it just blew my mind. It really did. And once again, I've said this 100 times. Guys with high end accuracy like Stroud had in college translate very well to the NFL. Now, Bryce Young has that same kind of accuracy trait, but his NFL body is not as conducive to today's game as Stroud's is. And Young will run out of the pocket more. Stroud wants to stay in the pocket, and he's got the weapons. He's got 3 guys now that he's boosting to career years with Tank Dell, Nico Collins, and Dalton Schultz. Like, it's crazy what he's doing with all 3. And even Noah Brown, like, he's supporting 4 guys. The run game has been awful, so it's been a perfect storm for Stroud to show off what he can do, and it has been beyond impressive. You start him the rest of the season. Deebo Samuel, full go today, so no issue for Deebo Samuel. We all know the inconsistency. He's behind McCaffrey. He's behind Ayuk. He's behind, maybe even behind Kittle in the target hierarchy for Brock Purdy, who's not playing well. It's been a while since we saw the Brock Purdy of last year and of September of this season. Are NFL defensive coordinators getting a read on Brock Purdy? It's very possible. So I'm a little concerned about him. Feels like I'm holding. All right, so Justin Fields. I wanted to talk about Justin Fields. Listen, it has been bad. He's had the 2 monster games back to back. Then he got hurt. He's going to wind up missing. I don't know. Is this his 4th missed game now or 5th? I'm losing count. It's over. It's over. Their pick. They're going to get Carolina's pick in the Bryce Young deal. And it was a great trade for the Bears. I mean, they got DJ Moore, all of these picks, and the Panthers end up with Bryce Young and not CJ Stroud, but that's a whole nother story. Joe, I'm going to go Brown the rest of the season. So as far as the running back, Zamora, I would go Bijan and, Pierce isn't playing. That's tough. Maybe Hunt. So as far as Fields is concerned, it's over. He never progressed as a passer. And there's another guy who had same school as CJ Stroud, accuracy problems in college, problems diagnosing and reading defenses in college. Those are 2 big negatives that he brought to the league, and he has shown not one iota of improvement since his rookie year. Doesn't have the best attitude, not the most coachable player either. I think he's done. They're going to wind up drafting Caleb Williams or Drake May. You could put them in a Bears uniform right now, and I think the Giants are going to end up with the other guy. All right, $4.99 super chat from Birdman31. Appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you, Birdman. Thank you so much. Definitely appreciated. You guys are very, very generous tonight. Thank you again. But yeah, Justin Fields. I've never been a fan of his. Now, listen, I'm not going to be a fraud. I rode him the second half of last year because of Lamar Jackson's injury. I had him as my backup, and it worked out. I didn't pay anything really for him. He was a late round pick, and he was great. But then he started getting hurt, and when he gets hurt, if he can't run, he does not have the passing chops to keep his numbers afloat, and that makes him a bad investment. Somebody dropped Marquise Brown last week. Wow. And I'm hoping to grab him tomorrow morning when he comes off waivers. Seriously, come on. Marquise Brown, who I'm in love with. Now, listen, he does have a Terrell this week, so it might be a little dicey initially, but, it's going to be great. Call of Duty. I don't play Call of Duty. Unfortunately, I don't have any time for video games. I wish I did. I don't even have time for Madden. I used to be a Madden guy. I just don't have any time for that either. But enjoy the Call of Duty. what is it, like the new one coming out or something? Is that what everybody's all excited about? All right, so let me get back down to where we were. All right, Khalil Herbert, Charles. Listen, he's practicing in full. I think he does return, but Donta Foreman's played well. They still want to see what they have in Roschon Johnson, so I think it's going to be a frustrating 3-man committee. I wouldn't play him. Robert, yeah, just message me the post it on the message board, and I'll be able to take a better look at your lineup, and I'll answer it later on today. Post it on one of the videos, and I do get the alerts when you post a comment. Pat's going to have lower pick than New York Giants. I don't think so. I don't think the Giants are going to win another game the rest of the year. I think the Pats will, just because of coaching. So I think the Giants are going to have the worst record. Pop Douglas, ankle injury today. Speaking of the Patriots, not concerned about that yet. It's still early in the week, but we're going to have to take a look at that. Dave Montgomery, like I said, was a full participant. So he is ready to go. Just traded Russ and Ayuk for Keenan. Yeah, that works for me. Now, Keenan Allen, it's going to be difficult. Keenan Allen's doing the Keenan Allen thing right now. He's not scoring touchdowns, right? He's never been a big touchdown guy, but the receptions are always there, right? And Amon-Ra St. Brown, remember I said this was the big prove-it year for him. Is he Keenan Allen, a younger version of him, or is he going to get that double-digit touchdown season, that 10-touchdown season? Jury's still out on that. Because I can't consider Amon-Ra St. Brown a top wide receiver 1 unless he gets those touchdown numbers up, like an A.J. Brown. Yes, so we did win our first round matchup 55-26, and it wasn't even that close. The second team scored some touchdowns on our second team. So, yeah, we won big. It was insane. And now we're into round 2 Saturday, and we should win that one as well, knock on wood. And then 2 more games after that, potentially, to win the New York State title for our league. So, but thank you for asking. I feel good about the team. Maybe this is year. I've never won a state title. So, and I coach slot receivers. I'm a slot receiver coach because I played slot receiver when I was in college, high school. But thank you for asking. Pick up James Conner. Again, I don't know why people are dropping James Conner. Good get there. Would you trade Javonte Williams and Ayuk for Hurts? I would trade that for. Jalen Hurts is the best. He's the best quarterback in fantasy right now, outside of maybe Josh Allen. We just start out of Montgomery, Collins, Javonte, and Deontay. Need 3 PPR. If it's PPR, I'm going Javonte, Deontay, and probably Montgomery. It's a tough matchup for the Texans this week. Pacheco and Rice, man. High school. Yeah, high school. Definitely high school. And I appreciate that. Pacheco off. Yeah, so there is a lot of people off this week, Boozy. It's very, very difficult with buys. It's buy-mageddon for sure. Should I trade Eckler and Waddle for Amon-Ra and Jacobs? Wow, I don't like to trade Eckler, but I think I would do that. Kate Otten as well. Yeah, Otten's been good. Listen, we talked about this on the stream the other day. I can't recall a time where this many tight ends have been starting caliber. Just because all these guys who've kind of come out of nowhere, including Kate Otten. Raiders or Bears defense? Raiders. Raiders have a really good matchup this week. 8-man PPR, flex Burrow, Eckler, Mixon. Flex PPR 2 flex Burrow. Yeah, that looks good to me. T-Money. Puka's kind of cooled off. Debo. I'm not a fan of Debo. That's the one guy I don't really like there. But everybody else looks good to me. Justin Herbert really letting me down. I think there is a reason to worry about Herbert because, again, it's all of these injuries. And they're not well coached. They're not running the football. Eckler's average is terrible. And that was part of the deal last year. No Mike Williams and no Josh Palmer. So they're 2 field-stretching wideouts who soften up defenses for Keenan Allen. Not there. And that's hurting Herbert. Their performance in Germany. Yeah, it was. I had Pacheco was bad. And Rashee Rice, that was a step back. No doubt about it. It wasn't a good matchup. It wasn't a good outing, rather, from the Chiefs offense. It just wasn't. Nobody, everybody was disappointed, even Kelsey. So with the fact that Kelsey 2 didn't go off, I'm willing to look past that performance. Jamal Williams. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Thank you. I appreciate that. Do I think Chase plays at this point? If I had to say, to make a choice, I'd say no, he's not. And we got to watch T. Higgins now too. He's got a hamstring. So I trade Debo for DK. Yeah, I would trade Debo for DK in a second. Now, listen, DK hasn't been great either. Geno Smith neutered DK Metcalf. There's just no other way to put it. Like, Metcalf is not scoring touchdowns. His numbers have been really, really, really mediocre. They haven't been great. And, Tyler Lockett's been inconsistent. JSN is starting to make a move now on these two. I'm trying to trade Tyler Lockett in one of my leagues in a deal for Marquise Brown. A little bit concerned about both Metcalf and Lockett going forward. Do I roll Stroud or Kyler? I think you got to go Stroud still. I think it's still Stroud until he shows you otherwise. The Pats are going to get a quarterback. They have to get a quarterback. I mean, Mac Jones is not the answer. It's just not happening. Belichick, great coach, has made some really bad personnel choices, and especially during the draft, he cannot draft a receiver to save his life. Kyler Murray can play like two. I disagree, Kevin. He doesn't have any distractions like Watson had. And, listen, he tends to wear down as the season goes on, but he's coming in now week 10. So I think Kyler Murray, who's a great trade chip if he's on your bench, I think he'll be fine. Josh Downs did not practice today. I don't think he's going to play this week because, he couldn't get through the game last week. So I think they're going to be very careful there. Christian Watson, not in concussion protocol. You're not starting Christian Watson anymore. I'm sorry. And you really shouldn't have drafted him in the first place. Tyson Bagent starting, as we talked about. Even though he's doubtful, they're saying, as it's talking about Justin Fields, Bagent will get the start. All right, I think that's it. Zay Jones practiced on a limited basis. Now, when Zay Jones comes back, it makes things a little bit more complicated for the rest of the guys in that offense. But, like, for instance, Evan Engram, he was left behind the last time they played. Somebody's going to be left behind, whether it's Ridley. We've seen Ridley have some issues, not posting the best numbers. When somebody else is going off, really two of those three, Engram, Kirk, Ridley, are going to be the ones that post the good PPR points each week, and somebody's going to be left behind. Dameon Pierce did not practice. Devin Singletary went completely bust last week. Curtis Samuel, it did practice, so increased competition for Jahan Dotson. So the Jahan Dotson fun storyline may not be lasting much longer. Josh Dobbs, Justin Herbert. Wow, the fact that we're even asking that question. So, New Orleans is not an easy matchup for Dobbs. Same thing with the Chargers, though. I still think you got to go Herbert. Jordan Love should not be starting on anybody's team. So definitely Justin Herbert. Gabe Davis or Watson. Gabe Davis. And I don't like him either. But I'm not going with Christian Watson under any circumstances. He's so overrated, it's disgusting. All right, so Bears-Panthers this week. You're starting Cole Kmet. I think Cole Kmet is an absolute to the moon. You see how well he's played with Tyson Bagent, because Tyson Bagent is a pocket passer, unlike Justin Fields, and Kmet jives much better with Bagent in terms of his skill set as a passer, and the touchdowns have been flowing. Kmet, absolutely to the moon this week. I also think Adam Thielen to the moon. He had a rare quiet game last week, but I think Thielen, you could play him this week. I am staying away from Chuba Hubbard. I'm putting him on the bench. And again, this when I do the to the bench, to the moon, it's just guys who are not the obvious starts. All right, obviously you start DJ Moore. Chuba Hubbard, I'm putting to the bench. He didn't play great last week. He didn't play great the week before either. And Miles Sanders was better on a per snap basis. And I think he's going to, at least push for that 50-50 snap share. Start the Bears this week, right? Start the Bears defense. You could. They're not playing awful. Bryce Young can't get out of his own way right now. And you could just see it. They don't throw the more. DJ Moore with Fields, they definitely unleashed him before Fields got hurt. One quarterback, 2 flex non-PPR, traded Lamar for Bijan. I have Goff and just picked up Kyle off waivers. Yeah, that works. Especially Lamar. The points just haven't been there. If you can get Bijan for Lamar, and with those guys that you have on your bench, I'm all for it. Would you sell Tony Pollard to upgrade after this week, regardless of outcome, expecting a bounce back? It's amazing to even say that they're pass heavy with Mike McCarthy. I wouldn't sell Pollard. He's too good to continue like this. And he's got really good matchups coming up. I would hold on to him. Get the Bills or get Seattle. Seattle has a good matchup this week. Their defense. Thursday Night Football, Chicago 3.5. I would not pick that game to save my life. I would say Carolina probably will cover that spread. That the hook makes me a little nervous, but I wouldn't bet on that game to save my life. That would absolutely be one I would avoid. I'm 3 games over 500 on the picks. I'll have those picks on Friday. So I had a good week, 4-1 last week. So back on the winning side, 3 games above 500. Need to do a little bit better though. Dallas is really missing Zeke, and he had his adventures for sure. All right, New England at home to Indy. Not the easiest matchup for the Colts. Michael Pittman will be the focus of Bill Belichick, especially with no Josh Downs. So Michael Pittman could be a little shaky this week. I think you start with Rhamondre Stevenson. Absolutely, I think it's a good spot for him. Isaiah McKenzie would be the next man up if Josh Downs doesn't play. So those are the start. I mean, if you want to roll Hunter Henry, I think there's a lot better tight ends out there. You could, Douglas. I definitely would play Douglas if he's okay. He missed practice, say, with an ankle injury. But that's how I would look at that game. Can I post my team and have you let me know what I can do? Javier, you can do that. Cincinnati, Houston. So again, a lot of injury questions here. I think you start Tyler Boyd, even though he hasn't been great, if Chase and Higgins missed the game. Both of them did not practice today. Higgins with the hamstring, Chase with the back. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. As far as the Texans, not a good matchup for them. Wouldn't surprise me in the least if Tank Dell goes back to 10, 11 points a game. Nico Collins struggles. It's not a good matchup. However, I do think Dalton Schultz is a guy you will start. You have to, coming off that big game. If Cincinnati's defense played really well, bottles up those receivers, Schultz will be that safety blanket. I'm starting Dalton Schultz. Minnesota, New Orleans. Josh Dobbs makes his debut. New Orleans defense has been slipping. Was a big fan of them early on in the season. Birdman Raiders D was awesome last week, and they have another good matchup this week. But after this week, their schedule gets tougher. But they have, it's a great matchup against the Jets. And listen, enough with the Giants, the Jets, and the Raiders in prime time. Can we please? I don't understand how the Raiders and the Jets and even the Giants have appeared on primetime this many games. It's ridiculous. Jacoby Myers over Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers has not been good. Zay Flowers now is on the border of being dropped, and can't even believe we're saying that after how big of a start to the season he had. Not a big fan of Myers either, but he did score last week. I would give him the slight nod. So Minnesota, New Orleans. Addison's going to have a tough time with Marshawn Lattimore. I think Addison is a to the bench. Okay, so Addison, don't play him this week. Marshawn Lattimore, who shuts down the best receivers in football, top 5 cover corner. That's a tough assignment for Jordan Addison. I would not play him. He's got a game similar to Mike Evans, and we know Mike Evans has struggled a lot with Marshawn Lattimore in the past, so I would bench Jordan Addison. He is a to the bench for me. For the Saints, Vikings defense susceptible to the pass, so you're playing a lot. Now, Michael Thomas, I think they're going to get him more involved. Michael Thomas is a little bit of a deeper receiver. I'm sure he made it known that he didn't catch a pass last week. I think Michael Thomas, in a deeper league, you can play him this week. Taysom Hill, obviously you're playing him. Insane what he's doing. 22 points each of the last 2 weeks. He was in the teens the 2 games before that. We're now onto a month of Taysom Hill doing spectacular things. Seattle Raiders defense. I'm still going to go the Raiders because the Jets offensive line is a complete mess. Goff, Kyler, Eckler, Kyron, Connor, Bijan, Pittman, Douglas, Porter. What can I do to improve? Brian Robinson, Pittman, Douglas. Yeah, you need to improve your. I would definitely trade Kincaid or Laporta. You don't need both of them, and Bijan. I mean, your backs are good. I would try to trade. You could Eckler, Brian Robinson, and Laporta or Kincaid. I think Kincaid would get you more because of his recent hot streak. Javier, I think you should trade them. And you're welcome, Birdman. That was Chase Young was good, and they didn't give up as much as the Seahawks gave up for Leonard Williams, who's not as good of a player as Chase Young. Trey McBride or Ferguson this week. This The Giants don't defend the tight end. The problem is they're going to blow the Giants out, and they're going to call the dogs off in the second half. I give a lean to Trey McBride with Kyler Murray, and Murray, too, likes to throw to his tight ends. Green Bay, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's playing really well, in spite of the struggles of Kenny Pickett. Now, you're playing Deontay Johnson, no doubt. That's about it, all right? Najee Harris, you could in a deeper league. Jaylen Warren, Green Bay does not stop the run well. Green Bay, you're bent to Christian Watson to the bench. The only Green Bay player I'm playing is Aaron Rodgers. That's it. Jordan Love to the bench too. The Steelers defense is playing well. I'm really in on them for sure. Tampa Bay, Tennessee. So DeAndre Hopkins, absolutely to the moon. You saw what CJ Stroud did last week, right? Hopkins has got to be licking his chops. Will Levis is going to start the rest of the season. I have reservations about how high the upside goes, his accuracy, reading defenses. But man, that arm is perfectly situated to jive with DeAndre Hopkins. And I should have bought low on him. I didn't. He was kind of off my radar. But I think DeAndre Hopkins is to the moon this week for sure. Chris Godwin, I think, is to the moon, and so is Mike Evans. Tennessee does not stop the pass, so I really like both of those guys, and even Cade Otton is the start for me as well. And how about Rachaad White? So Rachaad White, here's the thing about Rachaad White. He does not have a carry this season more than 15 yards. He's under 4 yards per carry, I believe, still. But he's the perfect PPR running back. Catches, he's got 4 to 5, 6 catches every single week. He's starting to score now around the goal line. He's a better fantasy player than he is a real life player. He just simply doesn't have the spring in his step or the elusiveness to put up, a solid, rushing average. He's a smaller Najee Harris is what he is. All right. More productive though. And I think he's got, Tennessee, though, does stop the run really well, but you're still going to start Rachaad White because he can catch the ball out of the backfield. Howell versus Seattle's tough. Not easy, but they're going to be throwing the ball all over the lot the rest of the season. Only Packer you're playing is Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers. Did I say Aaron Rodgers? I thought I said Aaron Jones. I'm sorry. Did I actually say Aaron Rodgers? Did I actually say Aaron Rodgers? I thought I said Aaron Jones. Well, there you go. So, man, that's bad. Speaking of Aaron Rodgers, he's kidding himself about making this comeback. I'm sorry. They're not making the playoffs. He's in La La Land if he really thinks he's going to come back. I can't believe I said Aaron Rodgers. I meant Aaron Jones. And I'm going to have somebody later on posting a message. Oh, Aaron Jones, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. A couple of trolls came out the last couple of weeks. I took care of that, though. So Jacksonville, San Francisco. ETN's been a monster. He absolutely has been a monster. And yes, I do think Connor plays. Listen, ETN has been a league-winning player. With all of the guys who were drafted as running back ones, he's been arguably the best. Ultra consistent, catching the ball out of the backfield. Tons of carries. He's scoring. He's literally doing it all. He's staying healthy too, knock on wood. That's one guy I missed out on. I did like him coming into the season. The Tank Bigsby thing scared me a little bit. Proved to be nothing after all. But he's been a league-winning player. Now, it's going to be a tough matchup. He's got Chase Young now there. That defensive line is legit. May not be a classic ETN matchup, but you're still starting him. However, Calvin Ridley, could be a little dicey. Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, all of those guys, this is not an easy matchup for them. 49ers side, you're starting Brandon Ayuk, who I think can go to the moon. Debo, if you own Debo, you're still playing him, but I think he's more of a flex, and you're playing Kittle. Cleveland, Baltimore. This one could be scary for the quarterbacks. I think both Watson and Jackson are turnover prone. Both of these defenses are top 5 defenses, and it's going to be a very low-scoring game. So I think Jackson is going to have to throw it. And he's also going to pick up a lot of yards on the ground, I think. So if you're waiting on a Lamar Jackson outing where he's going to put up 20 fantasy points, it could come here just on the rushing side of it, supplementing to a great degree what he does in the passing game. I would not start Jerome Ford. He's to the bench. Amari Cooper, yes, that's it. David Njoku, who's already banged up this week, didn't practice today. He's to the bench for me as well. Baltimore Ravens, Mark Andrews, maybe Gus Edwards, but that's the only guy I'm confident in really is Mark Andrews and Lamar. I think we got to be careful with Keaton Mitchell. I know he was the big prize this week off of waivers, but I don't like this matchup for him, especially with a three-headed monster running back, really a four-headed monster with Lamar Jackson. What about Dobbs or Sam Howell? I do like Dobbs better. Thanks, Birdman. No problem. If I said the Aaron Rodgers, that's funny. Atlanta, Arizona, very excited Kyler Murray's back. Atlanta, who the hell knows what the hell Arthur Smith is going to allow his guys to do? I mean, seriously. Listen, if they fire Arthur Smith at the end of the year and they literally put anybody in there, we're all going to trip over ourselves drafting Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, and Drake London next year. 100%. Take it to the bank. I would start James Conner. Atlanta's defense has been okay, but they've been giving up more and more of late. And Drake London, I think he's going to play. You got to play Drake London. Kyle Pitts, I'm sure you have war wounds with Kyle. If you're a Kyle Pitts owner, I don't blame you if you don't play him. You're going to play Bijan Robinson. All right. Marquise Brown's got A.J. Terrell, but they can manufacture. What they did with Marquise Brown last year was a lot of jet short tosses, even some jet sweeps right at the line of scrimmage. Just to get him the targets. I think they're going to have to do that with A.J. Terrell, who's legit, no doubt about it. All right, drop Ford. I don't like Ford this week, Birdman. I wouldn't go crazy. Mitchell, same thing. It's a tough matchup. I know what you meant with Aaron Rodgers just messed with you. So I can't believe I actually did say Aaron Rodgers. That's fine. I'm going to have to go back and watch that. Smith he absolutely is a joke. And I actually believe he does some of this on purpose. He knows that the fantasy people are pissed off at him every week. And I think he privately relishes that. Like, how can I screw with them today? Like, he's very pompous, thinks he knows everything, and you can just see it. Amon-Ra is better than Keenan Allen. Yes, 100%. The Jared Goff thing is interesting. He took a team to the Super Bowl, right? Didn't play well in the Super Bowl. It was a very low-scoring game, if you remember. Has that annoying habit of playing well at home, poorly on the road. But he has taken to the new surroundings in Detroit. When that trade first went down, Jared Goff was like the throw-in for Detroit. Like, oh my God, they're going to use him for 1 year and they're going to cut him loose. Well, he's got staying power now because this team has a shot to represent the NFC. I truly believe that. Definitely props for sure what's going on there. I'm asking, should I pick up Ford? You can pick up Ford, but you're not going to use him this week. Just saying about Smith, my boy, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's been a crazy, frustrating season for the Falcons. All right, Detroit, Los Angeles. Don't start Quentin Johnson. I think it's Eckler, Keenan Allen, obviously. Even Justin Herbert's not going to be the easiest matchup. And I've spoken about how I'm concerned about him going forward because he's losing all of his big play weapons. I am starting David Montgomery. I am starting Jahmyr Gibbs. And I am starting Sam Laporta. No, he's not going to get fired until the end of the season if he even gets fired. But don't think for a second that ownership doesn't see what's going on here. I don't think Murray will be as good this year. He's relevant because Cardinals red zone bunch. Dylan, he's a top 10 guy when he's right. But is he right? We'll have to see. I got Mitchell. Do I drop him for Ford? No, I wouldn't do that. Should I trade James Cook and Thomas for Pacheco? Yeah, I would. James Cook and both Michael Thomas are declining assets. Yeah, Kyler, they keep saying they're going to keep him. They've said that a couple of times already this week. I don't know if I buy it. Kyler and Atlanta, that would be interesting. Washington, Seattle, not an easy matchup for Washington, all right? I mean, Sam Howell could see his numbers jog back a little bit, but this is a smash spot for DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and company. Washington doesn't stop anybody, even Kenneth Walker. And the Kenneth Walker situation bears watching. Pete Carroll loves Zach Charbonnet. He loves him. Drafted him in the second round for a reason, despite taking Walker the year before. Walker's a limited player. I know he's caught the ball a little bit this season, but that's not his strength. He's beat up. He's always hurt going back to his college days. I'm not impressed with what we're seeing with Kenneth Walker, especially of late. Jets, Vegas. I mean, my God. Garrett Wilson, you got to feel for him. Breece Hall, you got to feel for him. This is not going to be easy for either one of them. The Raiders defense playing really well. You still start both of them. You have to. You're pot committed on both of them, but it's going to be a struggle. For the Raiders, Devontae Adams has Sauce Gardner. Not an easy matchup for him, and he's already struggling. Again, you're committed to him, but Jakobi Meyers, I would bench him. Jakobi Meyers is absolutely to the bench, and Josh Jacobs, you have to play him. Might not be easy for him. And then finally, Denver, Buffalo. James Cook, last stand opportunity before Leonard Fournette, who might even be activated this week. Leonard Fournette, I'm starting to come around on him now as somebody who could be a helpful guy the rest of the season, because James Cook, after a nice September, has seen his season really take a sharp turn downward. Which is not good. Charbonnet or James Cook, you're still going James Cook for now. Stroud, solid rest of season. Got Dobbs as a backup. Yeah, I mean, listen, they have to throw the ball in Houston, and he's playing well. We don't, everybody's like, oh, he's going to drop off. Well, I mean, he had a couple of, quiet weeks leading into that game, but he's the real deal. I wouldn't assume that he's not going to be helpful the rest of the way. Jamal Williams versus Minnesota, no. Keaton Mitchell, Cleveland, and Miles Sanders. Wow, Ricky, not great. I would have to go Miles Sanders slightly. Do you think Breece Hall is the second most explosive player after Tyreek? Tyreek, Bijan, and Breece Hall, yeah, they're all there. They're on the Mount Rushmore as far as explosive players, no doubt. And CeeDee Lamb, too. JSN, Tank Dell, Josh Downs. Who do you like rest of year? Tank Dell. Dell Downs, and then JSN. It's going to be, listen, it's not a question of talent with JSN. It's a question of who's ahead of him. He's got two prime guys ahead of him. All right, start Ridley or Ridley. I think the roses off the bloom for flowers, pardon the pun. If you think it's necessary to go trade and get a top 5 QB if I got Stroud. No, I don't think so. No, I mean, listen, and a lot of these top 5 quarterbacks have some question marks. Like Pat Mahomes' numbers, especially of late, haven't been great. Jalen Hurts has a knee issue. Lamar Jackson not playing great. Now, Joe Burrow is somebody who's been really, really locked in. Really like the way he's playing. Sit one, Breece, Pollard, Bijan, and Montgomery. Montgomery. I like Montgomery, but the other three are going to get the total lion's share. That's what I'm trying to say. Lion's share of work. Stroud is going to be a top 6, 7 quarterback next year. Do you think Bijan not seeing all the snaps to keep him fresh and less wear and tear for next year? I don't think so. I really don't. I mean, everybody knows the deal with running backs. It's a 3, 4 year, 5 year tops deal, and then you move on to the next guy. After the big start to the season for Bijan, I was all about him as the number 1 pick next year. Now we're not. That's not happening. All right, that's not where we're at now with Bijan Robinson, because he's just simply not going to have the numbers at the end of the season through no fault of his own, really because of his head coach more than anything. Like that's really what it comes down to. So I asked you guys if Murray's going to be a top 10 the rest of the way. Right now he's winning 58% to 42%. So, and I think he'll be top 10, top 12. And I still think that about Josh Dobbs as well. Who do you think will be number 1 pick next year? Tyreek Hill, if he goes over 2,000, I think he'll be the number 1 pick. McCaffrey, I think McCaffrey is now entering that Mike Trout phase in fantasy baseball where, he's getting up there in age. People are going to look for the younger, more exciting player, and that's going to be Tyreek Hill. I think Tyreek Hill could be the number 1 pick next year. Justin Jefferson will still be there. If Bijan Robinson has tears it up the rest of the way, he could be the number 1. Fournette or Khalil Herbert. I don't think Fournette's going to do enough yet, so I'm going to go Herbert. Atlanta, we wasted enough breath on that. It is not going to change. Tyreek and McCaffrey will be older, though. Yes, but if Tyreek's coming off a 2,000-yard season, he's going to be right there. Start Ridley or DJ Moore. I gotta go Ridley. Moore doesn't have a good thing going with Tyson Bagent, whereas Cole Kmet seems to be the top target. Drake May, love Drake May. I said this before, and I'll say it again. He could be the number one pick. I know Caleb Williams is the assumption that he's definitely number one pick. No, I literally have a strong feeling that Drake May could be that number one guy. And as a Giants fan, I'm hoping they're going to get at least one of those two. Now, remember, Caleb Williams is not overly big. So, whereas Drake May has that strapping Peyton Manning kind of build. I'm all in on Garrett Wilson next year. So, yes, you have to be. And that's the biggest shame of it all, is that we did not get to see what a Garrett Wilson, Aaron Rodgers pairing was going to look like. When Rodgers went down, we were completely robbed of that. Whether you were a fan of the Jets or not, if you're a fan of fantasy, you really wanted to see what was going to happen there. I don't like Williams' attitude. Well, the NIL thing really causes these guys to think they're better than what they maybe really are. And you're right, his attitude is not great. Drake May seems a little humble. If you've seen him conduct interviews, seems like a really down-to-earth, nice kid. And listen, he's played really, really well this season. Should I be worried about Tua going forward? I wouldn't. They haven't shown up again in the big games. That's true. But the offense is stacked. They're loaded. There's just guys everywhere. Shedeur Sanders, best of them all. I don't agree with that. I think he'll be a first-round pick. Don't forget, we didn't even mention Bo Nix and Michael Penix Jr. There's going to be 5 or 6 quarterbacks in the first. This could be one of the best quarterback classes since the 83 class. Literally, could be the best class since then. That's how many guys could be going in the first round. Drake May, I'm telling you, legit. Penix has played great. Bo Nix has played great. Bo Nix is that guy. He just has the it factor. You want to play for him. Great accuracy, underrated athleticism. He does nothing but win games. Not this year, next year if Sanders is not coming out. So, if Sanders is not coming out, is he a junior or what's Sanders? I have to be honest. He really was kind of came on late. Bo Nix had a wild card. Yeah, he has been. Just lost Goddard. Yeah, Goddard's going to go on IR. They haven't done it yet. Hope Vikings can get a QB figured out. Cousins is free. Dobbs could put himself in position, but I think Josh Dobbs, as much as I just love the guy after what he did last week, I think the Vikings are going to try to maybe rebuild at that spot, get somebody young. But they may not be in position to do that. They're winning games now. Knicks has to go to the right situation. True. Kyler Murray for Cooper Kupp, yes, 100%. If you can get Cooper Kupp for Kyler Murray, my God, absolutely, Kevin. Dobbs winning that game last week was it was one of the greatest performances I've ever seen in my life, hands down. It was just that good. All right, guys. Wow, we've been on for almost an hour, so I'm getting a little tired here. Tomorrow, Thursday, I will be on live in the afternoon, so make sure you join me for that. That'll be a very question-heavy show, so make sure you tune in for that. Enjoyed the stream tonight, guys. Thank you, and thank you again for the super chats, for those who contributed, and anybody who just joined the show today. Thank you. It was a lot of fun, like always. I will definitely see all of you tomorrow, so make sure you hit that notification button if you haven't done so already. And yes, thanks, Birdman. I appreciate all the kind words, and I will see all of you tomorrow. Take care, guys.